While with everyone divided and doing their own separate thing, Pretty Little Liars gets more intense than ever in what is by far their best episode this season yet.
The show that I know you won't tell what I said. 'Cause two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
Hey guys, it's Cameron for Pretty Little Liars, Season 7, Episode 9, The Wrath of Kahn, and I was really looking forward to this episode, mainly because Episode 8, like I said, really surprised me. I think Episode 8 was a real return to form for the show. It really seems like plots were starting to get moving, and not only did they get moving in this episode, I mean, this is probably one of the most intense episodes we've had in a very long time. In fact, I think this episode was right up there with, like, a Season 6 episode. I love this episode, by far best episode of the season, and if they keep moving like this, I mean, this season could really continue to be something great towards the end. I think they're really going to have a strong finish, I have to say, but let's just get into this episode because there is so much that went on in this episode, so much to talk about, so many great scenes as well, and something I definitely will come in this episode with is anything I wasn't okay with, in the beginning of this season or like before these two episodes, they've somehow made me okay with in this episode. I actually thought there was some stuff that they actually made me okay with, but let's just get into it because I love this episode. So we start off, and Aria, Spencer, and Emily, they are pretty much just so worried about Hanna, and they don't know what's happened to her. You know, she's made them think she's going to New York and everything. She's not answering her phone. They don't know why she's answering her phone. They call, basically, you know, they don't really know what's going on with that. Meanwhile, Emily's asking Aria for an update on Nicole, and we get a very brief thing that basically has not obtained any new information, so we don't hear anything about that really in this episode. We only hear a few things, but it's fine because the stuff this episode deals with, I mean, this is a very fast-paced episode. We see, in actuality, Hanna set up this lair of sorts, and let me just say, by far, the star of this episode is Ashley Benson, because let me just tell you, what I wanted when Hanna was kidnapped and, you know, given to AD is what we got in this episode. This is what I wanted. I wanted Hanna to do her own separate thing. I wanted this really dark stuff, and this is definitely really did deliver. Basically, she made this video saying her name is Hanna, you know, saying my name is Hanna Marin. If you find this video before I finish what I need to do, something went terribly wrong, please give this to the police. So we don't really know what exactly she's trying to set in motion here. We just know she has some sort of plan, and that was enough to really get me right into the episode. I love the way that was done. Amazing stuff there. And like I said, I think Ashley Benson just dominated every scene that she was in. I love the plot that she had here, and I thought that definitely was very well done. So we know that definitely there's something going on there. We don't really know what it is. But then we go back to Spencer in this episode because the guy Marco comes back in the picture. Now, initially, I was very much against Spencer and Marco getting together. I thought, no, this wouldn't make any sense. You know, they tried to get her with Caleb, now they're just trying to split her up. But now it would make sense, and I'll tell you why. Because if Caleb is going to die, this season, then most likely, you know, she's not going to have a love interest, neither will Hanna. So we need to get them new love interests. So it would make sense for Marco and Spencer to be together. And you know what? I thought it actually worked pretty well in this episode. I thought they actually had kind of good chemistry. He told Spencer that Archer fled to France and the case was no longer in his jurisdiction. And really, with nothing going on, he decides that now would be the perfect time to ask her out. She says that it's too soon, and that is totally Spencer. Her saying it's too soon, and after her relation with Caleb, I like that she actually didn't really want to go out with him. She said straight out, look, it's too soon. Now that she didn't like him, it's just that now's not the time to do that. So Spencer finds Noel's address and realized it was the same area where Hanna was held captive, and after breaking into his cabin with Emily, they found a USB with video from their time in the dollhouse showing that Noel was apparently helping Charlotte torture them, we realized. Now, this was very interesting we found this out, because, you know, we've kind of always had this assumption that Noel's been on their radar somehow, but if he was helping Charlotte, why would he kill Charlotte? That's what doesn't make sense to me. I mean, clearly he wouldn't be, you know, he wouldn't kill Charlotte if he was in cahoots with her. That just doesn't really make any sense. So I'm assuming that Noel was there for different reasons. I don't think that he was working with Charlotte. I think he was there for his own sort of purpose, and we've always known there's been an Uber A. We've always known there's been two, and I think he's the one that's been working with Uber A. I don't think he's working with AD. I think he's working with Uber A, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going on with that, because that's something I think that really did get set in motion here. But Emily's disturbed to hear that Noel has ordered a cake from Sabrina, and the way that Noel's kind of torturing them mentally, I think is really interesting that we saw that, because Noel's not someone who he obviously knows they have him on his radar. He obviously knows they don't trust him, and he definitely, is definitely, we know somehow is working with AD. I mean, there's really no, is he working with AD? I think we know that he definitely is working with AD by the end of this episode, and, basically, from knowing that, she's freaking out. She's telling her not to work with him, and she says he's very dangerous, and I really like Emily's stuff in this episode, because she then went to her swim coach interview where Paige boosted her confidence despite being up for the same job. Paige asked her to hang, and Emily said that she's seeing Sabrina, but it likely won't last, because she, of course, has her past, and she can't tell Sabrina about it. She just doesn't really want to confide in Sabrina like that. She doesn't really know if she trusts her in that way, and I thought that was interesting. It did make sense, obviously, because Sabrina's someone who really isn't involved in this kind of thing. She's not someone that's used to this kind of thing, and we know Sabrina just recently, I believe, came out, so, this is something that Emily just isn't really sure if she's ready to tell Sabrina. So I thought that was a very interesting scene. I did like the way that was done, and I liked that she tells Paige that it's happening again. She literally confides in Paige and said it's happening again. No Allie in this episode. I will say it was a bit strange that Allie wasn't here. But I do kind of like where we're headed with Emily and Paige. The way that Paige is kind of helping her. I mean, she's not there to get back together with her. She's there to help her out and be her friend, and I really did like the way that was done. So Aria goes to Jason, and he asks her about the fire at his aunt's, and she confesses what they found in the cellar, including the paperwork on Mary's second adoption, and together they went to the courthouse in hopes of getting charity documents. And we find out some stuff about them in this episode. We knew, obviously, there was some sort of connection between Jason and Aria, and we found out that, yes, indeed, they were together. But they weren't together, like, a couple years. They were together, like I think right after high school is when they got together. A flashback showed the two of them in bed together. Jason's inviting her on his charity trip to Ethiopia, though she was focused on a post-graduation job, and it seems like, he wanted her to go to this, but she was too focused on her job and everything, and that's why things clearly didn't work for them. And I thought they actually did a very good job with telling the story. And honestly, I would like to see these two together, now that we've seen what it was, because I was thinking it was going to be something where she was with Liam, and she had an affair with Jason. That's what I thought was going to happen, and I'm glad it wasn't that she was cheating on, Liam. I'm glad that it was that she wasn't with Liam yet. She was with Jason. She had a chance to be with Jason. He went to Ethiopia without her, and that's how she started this whole thing with Jason. But with Liam, I think we kind of did get the sense here that this is not exactly the life that Aria wanted. She clearly chose her career over her love life, and that's something that Jason still is kind of upset about. He felt like they could have had something, and honestly, they do have chemistry, and someone did remind me that Jason and Aria used to be together at one point, and honestly, I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't really remember that they were together, because I don't really remember the first few seasons, but if I remember correctly, they did have something in, like, the first 2 seasons, so it's not like this has come out of nowhere. They actually are developing this pretty well, and honestly, I'm all for it. I think if they want to get Jason and Aria together, do it. And this whole Ezra thing, yeah, it's ridiculous, but if he ends up finding Nicole, he ends up with Nicole, and Aria ends up with Jason, I could totally see that happening. So we'll have to see what happens with that, because I think that's going to be interesting. But honestly, after this episode, I kind of would want to see those two together. So Aria wants to take the USB footage to they go to the court clerk, and the court clerk at first tells them that they have no access to this stuff because they don't know, they're not the one that is they're not the mother or father of the child, and of course they don't know who the father is, and the mother's dead, so they can't really do anything about that. And basically, Aria talks about all the stuff that Jason's lost and how they need access to this, and I thought it was a really nice scene. I like the way that she talks about everything he's lost, and the way that she's talking about how passionate she is makes the clerk think that they're an engaged couple, and this basically gives them the opportunity to, Aria's ready to take the USB footage to the police, but not without Hanna, and the girls confirm that she wasn't with Lucas or Mona, and Caleb was determined to track her down before she did something. So Spencer then goes home where the storm knocked the power out and tortured herself by watching the footage on her mom's laptop, and she then left a message for Marco saying she needed his help and to come over, and after a window broke, she saw this hooded figure just as Marco arrived. Now who this is, we don't know who this is, but somehow there was this hooded figure, and she then realized that the USB was now gone, and we don't know how this happened, but naturally Marco didn't find anyone in the house, and I thought that was a very strange the way that was done, of who this hood figure was, or if she was just seeing things. I mean, I'm willing to bet that maybe Spencer was maybe a little bit paranoid because she knew that Noel was on that video, and I think she was a little bit paranoid knowing that he was there. But I thought it was interesting we saw that. I definitely thought that was an interesting scene. Again, I thought the way that they developed Spencer in this episode, I really did like. And you saw that Marco's someone that is very much in the same position as Sabrina, where he doesn't know anything that's going on. He's only known Spencer for this little amount of time, and he's not used to her freaking out and her doing all this stuff. You know, he just sees her as a girl he almost hooked up with once, and now he actually might have a chance with. That's all he really does know. And that's something I thought was interesting. I do think that Sabrina and Marco are in two very similar positions, and I think that's something they're doing pretty well. Now, are they kind of plain characters? Yeah, I do want them to maybe develop them a little bit more, which I feel like they will. Bull has to happens with that. I think that's definitely going to be interesting, the way that all goes down. But basically, Aria goes to Jason. She opens up about Ezra going to Columbia and the Nicole mystery, and he comforted her, saying that she and Ezra were always meant to be. And I like the way that was done, that he isn't there to, ridicule Ezra or say that I don't know why you're with Ezra. He's not there for that reason. He's there to give her confidence, say, hey, maybe you and Ezra should be together. Don't think that you don't have a chance. Definitely he might not find Nicole. You still have a chance with him. And I thought that was a very good scene. I really did love the way that was done. So, stuff like that I thought was really great here, and I like the way that it wasn't just let's get Aria and Jason together, it's let's show the bond between them, and then we cut to another flashback where she told Jason that she took a job. He was suspicious because it was the same company that published Ezra's book and was working on the next one, and I think we pretty much see why these two broke up. It's the kind of the same reason why Liam and Aria broke up, which I have to say, I think that one didn't make as much sense. This one definitely made a lot more sense. Jason and Aria, they just had very conflicted goals. Jason wanted to go on, like, this thing where he wanted to help people, and Aria, at the same time, she wanted to focus on writing. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a writer, and in the present, she admitted that he was right. She wanted the job to bring them back together. That's really what the point was, that it was all to bring the two of them back together, and that's really what it was all about, which I think is interesting that we saw. I mean, we always kind of thought she was with Liam, but I think we always kind of knew that she did, I think in her heart, want them to get back together, and I think that's something we definitely do see here, which I thought was definitely interesting. So, during all this, Hanna, like I said, she's on her own throughout the episode, and like I said, just dominates every scene in this episode. She follows Noel as he dumped a bag of trash, finding a smashed phone in it, and it appears to be Sarah's. It's really weird, the fact that he had Sarah's phone, and again, I'm willing to bet that Sarah was working with them, but he probably killed her because she was either no use to them or she wanted to die. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things. So, she then bought drugs that would knock a person out for hours, and after crushing the pills, and I gotta say, Hanna goes really far in this episode. Like, you want to talk about anti-hero? Hanna might actually become the anti-hero of this show, definitely, which I think is interesting. After crushing the pills, she anonymously texts Noel to meet her at a pub if he wanted the phone back, and she later put the drugs into a beer, and she confronted Noel saying that, straight out, I know you killed Sarah. That's all she says. And she goes on to taunt him, saying, you help me, I help you, and we're gonna do this together. And Hanna actually has power here. I mean, she genuinely was scaring him, but he was definitely suspicious of the beer. He's one step ahead of her, and when she wouldn't take a sip up from his glass, he forcibly took Sarah's phone and warned, be careful, Hanna, or you'll end up just like Sarah. So he very much knows what she's doing. He obviously is not trusting her right now, and he very much feels like he obviously, he knows that she obviously is doing something. Now, he doesn't know to what extent she's doing things, but obviously he knows that she's coming after him, and I thought that scene in general was just really well done. Hanna then ignores a voice note from Emily warning her that she was right about Noel and he's dangerous, and basically that they just can't trust him. Obviously, he's very dangerous. He's someone that is lurking in evil, and definitely they can't trust him. So Emily called Paige to come over so she could tell her about Noel, and we got this really good scene where Emily and Sabrina that I really did like, where she basically tells Sabrina that she just doesn't understand all the stuff she's been through in her life, and right now she just can't be with her right now, which was definitely sad to see. But I think Sabrina really does want her to open up. The problem is, I don't really think Sabrina will fully understand the stuff that Emily's been through because she hasn't been there. My only worry about this Paige storyline is that I'm worried that Paige is going to start to frame Allie, because I remember how annoying that got, where she's like, no, you can't trust Allie. Why would you go near Allie? Why would you do this to Allie? That was one of the low points of Paige's character, and I really hope they don't do that, especially with Allie back in the picture. I hope Emily lets her know that her and Allie are on good terms, that Allie has nothing to do with this. I hope she just lets her know that, but we'll have to see. So Aria receives a text from Ezra that Nicole wasn't one of the hostages and that he was coming back tomorrow, leading her to burst into tears, basically realizing that he is coming back, realizing that Nicole might actually be dead. And I thought that was interesting that we saw that. And Jason was faxed the adoption file, which was heavily redacted, except for the name of the judge, Noel's dad. And Ari is saying that, holy shit, I mean, the fact that that was, redacted, this could be Mary's baby. That definitely could, it could be Mary's baby. And Noel could be the one that is Mary's baby, and I think that's very much what could have happened. So that's very interesting that we know that. And also we know that Noel's family is great at covering things up. We saw, at the end of, we saw a lot in the last episode that they said that, when this whole thing would happen with Noel in high school, they were able to pay off all this money so that way he could remain innocent. So really, I mean, if you have people that have money, they can do anything, and I think that's something that Noel definitely is doing. Noel clearly is hiding something he doesn't want anyone to know about, and I think we're definitely going to see that come in the next week. I think it's going to be very interesting. So the show ends with Hanna. She hits Noel over the head, knocks him out, saying it's over, bitch, and that is the way the episode ends. Crazy stuff overall, but let's just get into this episode because I have a lot to say going into the finale. Like I said, this really, for me, is what I wanted this season to be. I think this episode was intense. It was revealing. There was so much good stuff going on here. I mean, between everything going on with Aria and Jason, honestly, I completely support this relationship. If they want to do Aria and Jason and actually get these two together and actually have them being in a relationship, I could see it happening. I definitely could see that happening. The question is Nicole really dead? I mean, if they do this whole thing where Nicole is dead, and it feels kind of pointless the way they did that, but I get that obviously this is the time for Aria and Jason to get back together, and I feel like that is gonna happen at some point, but as we know, Aria's supposed to be with Ezra. Jason even said those two are meant to be together, so I'm wondering if she's gonna start to have second thoughts about their wedding, but we'll have to see what happens with that, because that's gonna be interesting if they actually are gonna get married. But then there's this whole thing about Noel, because that's really what I care about, is what's going on with Noel. Like I said, Noel's parents have money. They were probably able to cover things up, and knowing that they were able to cover things up, I'm pretty sure that he most likely, his dad probably did adopt Mary's baby, and definitely it's something that Noel's hiding from them. Hanna hitting him over the head, though, I think is something she's definitely going to regret. I think this is really going to end up badly for her, and if he wasn't coming after Caleb then, he's definitely coming after now. The fact we didn't see Caleb in this episode, I think is enough of indication to think that Caleb could definitely be in danger. I think that definitely is going to happen. If it's not Caleb, I think it's going to be Jason. I really do. I think one of those two are probably going to die, and it's going to be very sad, but I feel like that's what's going to happen. Marco, I honestly like what's going on with Spencer and Marco. I think it's interesting. Spencer's going a little bit stir-crazy, though, now, because now that she knows that Noel was supposedly working with Charlotte, she's kind of thinking that someone's always watching her. Now, was there actually a hooded figure, or was Spencer just going crazy? I can't tell you. I mean, I don't really know if that was actually going on, or if Spencer was just, just a little loopy from what was happening, but either way, I thought that definitely was very interesting. Is Spencer really crazy? What's going on there? That's something I definitely want to know as well, is what exactly is the extent of what's going on. I mean, I don't fully know what what the extent is, but we'll have to see what happens with that. And then Spencer and Marco together, I honestly would be fine if they do get back together. I mean, I would be fine if they do get together, but we'll have to see what happens with that. And then as far as everything goes with Emily, I feel bad for Sabrina. I really do, because I think Sabrina generally does care about Emily. She wants Emily to open up to her, but because of the fact that Emily is in the position that she is, and the fact that Emily that Emily is in the position she is, and she's doing all these things, and she goes through this past and everything like that, I think right now, at least, it's not really the time for her to open up to Sabrina. I feel like it's going to be too late before she does. I feel like something definitely is going to happen to Sabrina that's going to be because of AD, and we don't really know what that's going to be yet. But as far as Paige goes, I do like seeing Paige be a friend to Emily. I don't want to see them get back together. I just don't really think that's the way to go. But like I said, I do hope that when Paige finds out that Allie is working with them, I hope she doesn't try to get Emily to distance herself from Allie. I think it's going to be very annoying if she does. But either way, guys, I love this episode. I really did. I thought this episode, they really made sense of a lot of the storylines. They really took their time with it. And like I said, I think Ashley Benson killed every scene that she was in. What exactly she's trying to do with Noel, I'm not really sure. I think she's just trying to get information out of him. But the way that's all going is very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what Hannah's really going to do. And the fact that he's saying that she'll end up just like Sarah, I mean, that's something we should be scared of because someone's going to die in the finale. I mean, I don't know who's going to die, but we'll have to see what happens with them. Like I said this in the last review, I really think we're going to see that classroom scene, in this episode. I think because of the fact that we started there in season 6, I think that was intentional. I think there was a reason why we started there. I think something is going to happen in that classroom scene, and something is definitely going to happen where, I mean, this is such a big death that Marlene King said that she called the actor up and told them they were going to die in advance. So this is going to be a big deal. I hope it's not just someone like Sarah. If it's Mona again, I'm going to be very pissed because they already tried to kill Mona off, and if you do it again, that's going to be kind of annoying. I mean, at least they kill someone big, but I want it to be someone other than Mona. I want it to be, like, say, Toby or Caleb. I mean, Toby, I don't know why you killed Toby. He hasn't been in this episode for a while, since episode 7, but Caleb, I could understand. I could understand Ezra, and I could understand Jason. I don't think it's going to be one of the liars. I think, again, they're trying to misdirect us that Hanna could be in danger. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Maybe it is. I mean, watch Hanna get killed off, and then you'll see what I have to say. But either way, I really hope it's a genuinely shocking death. I hope it's not something that I predicted. I hope it's very satisfying, and hope it's not just an abrupt thing. We have to wait till April anyway, so I hope that it is definitely worth the wait. The fact that it is the final season, I think they can take a lot more chances and kill characters off if they want to. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys saw of this episode. Loved your thoughts on it. For me, like I said, by far best episode of the season. I loved everything that was going on here. I thought everything was just really interesting. And that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the mid-season finale of Pretty Little Liars, which I am definitely looking forward to. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.